Good day everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while I've not done any PC overview. I do apologize due to the busy hectic work schedule. On the following month, right, in fact not this month, but on the following month I'll be doing more PC content on the builds that I will be fiddling with. Now for today I will be talking about this Bequiet Silent Loop 2 AIO, which is actually the 280 style. Now some of you have actually sent me email asking me that if my channel is being paid or sponsored. The answer is no. And some have even asked me where do I actually get all my components. Now I will be talking this later part once I've actually done an overview on this AIO. Let's get into it. Now what's inside this box? I've actually not unboxed this before, so this is my first time. Now when I unbox the box itself, this is pretty big box, I should say. First off, you will be greeted off with the instruction manual. Then it does have the 140mm silent tree, wing tree fans, if I'm not wrong. 2 of them. The accessory kit, as in like the brackets, the AM4 brackets and such, and there's a thermal paste. Then I believe these are the screws and the ARGB controller and the pump itself. Oh, there is this refill bottle, because this AIO allows you to refill the distilled water in it. Let me just get this out. A deep dive into all the package that I have. Let me just put this aside. I'll start off with the fans. As mentioned, these are the silent wing tree, and I've had a lot of reviews on this. Oh, by the way, this AIO is German engineered, which one of my favorite, just like my Arctic liquid freezer. Now these fans here, right, are supposed to run very quiet. I've not tested it, probably I'll test it later, and it does bring static pressure to the radiator due to the unique design of the fan blades. I would say that these fans are pretty sturdy, and the cables here is braided, as you can see here. So you have 2 of this. Now earlier on I mentioned this is actually the distilled water, which is wrong. This is actually the coolant, where you can refill on the radiator itself, which I will show you later where to refill it. I'm not going to unpack this, going to keep it sealed tight because I have no use of refilling it since it's brand new. Off with the first package. What do you have? You have a thermal paste over here. Then you have 2 packages. One is for AMD and the other one is for Intel. I'll start off with the Intel. If you are using an Intel board, not with the new standard of the Z690, or should I say the Gen 12 processors, now you can only use this on the older generation. So these are meant for 1151 brackets, and probably you can actually read the menu. And these are the brackets where you attach to the pump itself, and some screws, rubber washers. Now if you intend to mount this on a Gen 12 processor on the motherboard itself, right, now you can actually proceed onto the website where you can obtain a free bracket for the 1700 processors. So one thing good about them is that you don't have to pay for it. Well, some of the AIOs you will need to pay for it. This is for the AMD set, whereby this is to attach to your pump. Then these are the standoffs, or should I say, to mount the pump directly to the board itself. Now this does not come with a back plate like the Intel itself, because you're gonna make use of the original AMD back plate. So you can just fasten all this based on the manual itself, and I'm going to show you. Every time when I do unboxing and when I before I fit into any parts, right, I will often read the manual first. So this is one of the first principle that I would do, or should I say my thumb or rule that I'll do. I'll read the manual carefully, make sure that I do not have anything missing. Because sometimes, I do understand that sometimes when PC builders, right, they are anxious to fit everything into a board, but somehow they might miss certain steps. Like for example, there are washers, so they might forget to put a washer, or what's the gap to provide, things like that. So all the information will be in the manual. So if you are getting new AIOs or any PC components, it's best to read the manual to understand fully how the component function. So as I mentioned, right, the AMD mounting itself, right, it does not have a back plate, so you're going to use the original back plate. All you need is just to remove off this bracket here, and you can just connect this bracket onto the palm and to mount on the motherboard itself, where the processor is over here. Moving along, this is the last package itself, and what does it contain? There are some zip ties over here. These are the screws for the radiator onto your casing itself, and the fans, the long screws. Then you have a fan splitter, whereby you connect the two fans to, the two fans on the radiator itself to your motherboard. And this package here, it comes with a ARGB controller. Now this is going to be physical in your PC case itself. So when you toggle the ARGB on the palm block, which is this, you will need to actually open up your case and to feather it, unless you find out a way to place this controller outside your case. But I wouldn't advise you to do so. You might just I should say you might just clip off the cables. Just to place this one side, and let's go to the main AIO itself. Now looking on the radiator itself, let me just remove this. This is a 27mm thick radiator, and this is actually the fin stack. On your right, it's a general data sheet whereby it tells you the dimension of the radiator itself, the weight, and what kind of socket is compatible with this AIO, Intel or AMD listed over here, and the noise level, the fan model. There are two radiator fans, 140mm fans, which is the model of the Silent Ring 3. The palm RPM itself, which is this, then followed by how much does the palm require to run, which is actually a 9 volt. But most of the time I would prefer to run this palm at 12 volts full. So the regulation on the water itself, right, from the radiator to the palm, right, it will circulate fast enough in order for it to disperse on the fin stack over here. Next will be the ARGB. It will tell you what they are, and the tube length, which is 400, which is this tube here, 400mm. Now on the actual dimension on the radiators, as you can see here, make sure you have enough clearance on the case that you are using, or should I say in the case you're using. The total length of the radiator from one end to another end is 314. If you are building on an ITX case, right, which I am going to do it on a Q58 later, so that's the part of the reason why I bought this AIO itself, just to show you guys that it's possible to mount a 280 on a Q58. Now, so as I mentioned, the clearance is 314, the length of this, and the height, as mentioned, the radiator thickness is 27mm. When you plug the fans in, right, it's 52mm in height. And for the width, right, it's 140. Now, for the palm itself, it's not stated on the specs. I've actually done some measurements. It's in fact a square. So you can see here, the length is 60, the width is 60, it's a square. And the height of this palm here is 52mm. But when you place the brackets itself, right, it will be around 55mm. And as I mentioned to you, right, there is a refill port over here. So when you unscrew this, right, you can, if let's say you shake it and there are air bubbles, you can actually refill it with this. This is actually the coolant provided. So we can just put the nozzle. Once this is actually unscrewed, you can put the nozzle in and squeeze the coolant into the radiator itself. But when you're doing this, please make sure that you dismantle this radiator outside of your case. Don't do it inside your case, because you might drip coolant onto your PC components, so that will be disastrous. Next will be the pump itself. The holes are all nicely braided, and it comes with 2 connection points. This is actually for the ARGB, and it does provide you with a splitter in case if you want to connect to things like the ARGB strips or even one fan or such. But I would not advise you to do crazy daisy chain and to plug the ARGB over here. Just make use of this ARGB on the pump itself to the controller of your motherboard, or with the provided ARGB controller. Then for the other one, right, you can just plug, probably I should say, one fan or such. Do not daisy chain like 6 fans or maybe 6 ARGB strip. The controller will blow. That's the reason why I mentioned that it's best that keep it simple. Have this connect to the motherboard or the controller, and that's it. Do not extend any more ARGBs. And this is actually the pump itself. Now, one thing I like about German design pumps, right, they always come with this kind of connector, which is not PWM. You can feed the pump, this pump connector, or should I say the fan connector, onto your motherboard header, whereby it runs full, so that the circulation of the pump itself, right, is consistent. It will not fluctuate. The more you fluctuate the pump, as in like going high, going down, based on the temperature of your CPU itself, right, it will damage the pump. So let it run. I always advise my viewers or my subscribers, right, make sure that the pump block connector is plugged and is running full. Now, over here you will have this, I should say, the strap on the pump itself. Now, this will eliminate the Bequiet sign here, and at the surrounding, right, there will be ARGB. I will show you how it looks later. Now, other than that, right, I would say that this is pretty sturdy. For today's video, I will not be testing on the temperature itself, because I will be doing this on another video whereby I will test this out with one of the best AIOs, I should say, right now, which is actually my Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, a 280 versus a 280. So I would to show the results and such. That would be on another video. Before showing you the light effects on the logo, Bequiet, and the ARGB surrounding it, I'll talk about the pump block. Flipping over at the bottom, as you can see, this is actually nickel plated, and the surface area is pretty big. So if you were to cool any high-end AMD processor or Intel processor, right, this should not be a problem. Now, to show you the effects itself, one thing good about them is that if you were to connect only the pump itself, the Bequiet will light up white. And if you don't connect the ARGB, right, the surroundings will not light up. So if you want a stealth look, just want to have a classic look, you can just light out the Bequiet logo, which I'm going to show you here. Now, this is running on full volt. So I were to plug this in. And as I plug this in, right, I can feel that the pump is running. And you can see the label here is white. And one thing good about this is, in the event whereby you operate this and you don't want this, let's say this lighting here, over here, right, there is a small hole whereby you can place this. This is actually a pin for smartphone. It does come with the, it does come with this AIO, in fact. So what you need to do is just to press this down. See, it's gone. And you want it back, press it again. and it's back. Now for the ARGB itself, all you need is just to connect the ARGB connection to the controller or to your motherboard if you prefer to control the ARGB through your motherboard. Just to show you here, this is the controller itself. So when I plug this in, right, see, as I mentioned, it's separate from the label itself. You can't control the logo set to say, but you can control the surroundings, as in like the ARGB effects. So you can toggle different types of ARGBs, or should I say the effect. Now coming to test the noise on the pump itself on this Bequiet Silent Loop 2 with this Arctic Liquid Freezer 2. Now why do I actually choose this Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 pump against this? I have actually done another test with this pump, the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, with the Galahad AIO and the EK Elite 360 AIO. So at that test itself, right, this pump is the quietest. So I will compare the most quiet with this Bequiet and see how quiet is this Bequiet. Now do take note that there are no fans on the radiator on both pumps, so it will be a fair test. I will be placing this microphone near the pump itself when I do the test, and do take note that this sounding that you're going to hear, right, is going to be amplified. Yep, amplified 3 times based on my video editing program itself. So I'll start off with the Arctic Liquid Freezer with the fan. So if I'm to connect here, now as you can see, this is at full volt. So I'll place the mic over here. The pump is actually over here and the fan is over here. So let me just adjust this. I'll plug the plumb, I will plug the pump in right now, and you can hear the noise. I'm going to do this again. Now this is how the Arctic sounds like. Right now I'm going to move over here, which is the Bequiet. I'm going to do it again. So this is the characteristic of the pump itself. I'll go back to the Arctic Liquid Freezer, as some of you might say that, oh, due to this fan it's creating noise, so I want to hear the noise of the pump itself. So I'm going to block this, and I'm going to start off again. The fan is not spinning, but the pump is. Now, on the Bequiet, so there you have it. This is how loud this pump is. I couldn't hear a thing when I'm sitting down here right close in front of it. And that comes to my conclusion that this pump is pretty silent. There you have it, a partial overview on this Bequiet Silent Loop 2. I've shown you the lighting effects and the noise itself. Next, I will be testing this AIO against my Arctic Liquid Freezer, currently that is running in my rig, which is of course the 280 series. So I'll take down the temperature itself. I can't recommend to you if this AIO is good or not, but that will be a later stage. So if you guys are interested, do stay tuned and to watch the other video. Now speaking of which, right, the Bequiet Silent Loop 2 and the Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, if you guys have purchased the Z690 boards with the 12th gen Intel processor itself, right, the 1700 brackets are free. Let me just show you on the Bequiet itself over here. If you go to their website, I will leave the link of this in my description. Do check it out. You can obtain the LGA 1700 mounting brackets for free if you can provide them that you have purchased the this AIO, and of course with the receipt of the Gen 12 processor that you've purchased and the motherboard itself. So you can get this free. Same goes to Arctic. See, this is actually the mounting bracket. Sorry, this is the mounting bracket itself. It's the same procedure whereby you attach the receipt that you have purchased this AIO and the latest processor, which is the 12th gen, and the motherboard itself. They will just send you the bracket free, so you don't have to purchase. And on a note on Arctic liquid freezer, do take note that there are news out there stated that there are some compatibility issue with the Z690 board. So it's listed here. I will list the URL here. It will teach you how to rectify the problem, and I believe that you need to remove off the back cover and to replace with a new one, which you can obtain the new cover from the website itself. Now, all this link, like the brackets, the 1700 brackets from Bequiet and Arctic itself, right? I'll leave all the URL in my description so that you can just refer to them. Now, next off, where do I actually purchase this Bequiet itself? It happened that, okay, for those of you in Singapore, you're in luck. It happened that I have done a random shopping on Shopee itself and came across this interesting. I like Peache myself, that's why I find this interesting. So I find this shop is pretty interesting. I've chatted with the owner, looking through all the case itself, right? The first thing that I've actually done purchasing is the Montec Air 100 Lite case, which I've done a review, or should I say an overview on that case itself. For those of you who are actually interested in it, you can click on the top right hand corner. I'll just leave the overview over there. Now, having said this, right, I've actually checked with this owner itself, and he was telling me that he get most of the stuff from Tech Dynamic, which is actually a Singapore local distributor. Now, this is Tech Dynamic. Now, they do carry all these brands over here. So happened that I was interested with this Bequiet Silent Look 2. It looks promising because it's actually a German design AIO. So I've actually asked this Peache Trading if he could actually get me a unit because it's not cheap. So what he did is actually did the request for me, and I got it cheap. So if you guys are interested in certain products that is listed in Tech Dynamic, I'll leave the URL again on my description. You can actually approach this Peache Trading. I will leave the affiliated link of his in my description. You can approach him, ask him if he can actually get the product for you, and probably at a discount price, I should say. Hopefully he will give you a discount. Now, do take note, I'm not advertising for this channel. It just happened that randomly I came to do shopping, and in my future builds, right, I will be telling you where I got all this PC components from and where do I get it cheap. Alright, for those of you who are actually new in my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.